All right, everybody, we're back here again, and time for the final nomination predictions for the Golden Globes. And of course, the nominations are coming out this Monday morning. It'll be early. I will be here to do live reactions, no problem there. And this will be the 77th Golden Globes, and the awards are going to be handed out in early January there. So hang on, I wrote the date down here. That was, if I can find it, January 5th, yeah, so we've got just under a month before they're handed out, and of course, yeah, that's usually pretty close to the schedule the Globes keep there. They keep about a full month in between, or 3.5 weeks, somewhere in there. Anyway, so for that, we're going to start with the original song category. Original song, I've really, there has not been a lot of coverage of this so far from what I've seen from other sites and stuff, and I've seen a couple of lists, big lists and stuff. So with that, I kind of just went off of that for my 5 predictions here. And you've got I'm Standing With You from Breakthrough, which is, I believe, co-written by Diane Warren. They love to nominate Diane Warren, especially at the Oscars. I think she'll get through for this one, too. Beautiful Ghost from Cats, co-written, I believe, also by Taylor Swift there. So... And Swift, I think, got in for 1 or 2 Hunger Games songs in the past. They do like Taylor Swift here. And there's probably one more recently the Globes have nominated her for that I'm forgetting here. Into the Unknown from Frozen 2. That feels like, yeah, that's probably going to get in everywhere this year for the original song category. Spirit from The Lion King, Beyonce. They like to go for the really popular ones here. And I'm going to Love Me Again from Rocket Man. I'm also getting a nomination here that's co-written by Elton John. I believe Tim Rice is his co-writer. I think he helped with this one, too. So again, that's, a lot of popular artists here. In fact, you could argue with Idina Menzel singing, or also known as Adele Dazeem, of course, singing Into the Unknown from Frozen 2. That's 5 pretty popular artists here. And as we all know, sometimes the Globes love to default to getting popular stars nominated, of course. So a couple possible nominees here. One Little Soldier from Bombshell, just because it's, Bombshell I think will do pretty good here on Monday. Don't Call Me Angel from Charlie Angel's more recent one. Again, it's... who sings that one? Shit. I had it written down here, but now I forgot. I think Ariana Grande or somebody like that. Ariana, whatever. And then also The Ballad of the Lonesome Cowboy from Toy Story 4. It's Randy Newman, but yeah, I don't really... that one can get in for the Oscars, I think, but I don't know. Newman has something else going on this year, of course. So, yeah, we'll get to that here now with original score. My predictions here are 1917. I'm going out for a limb here for Harriet, that score to be nominated. Joker, Little Women, and Marriage Story being the 5 nominees here. Now, Harriet, I'm picking this as kind of the outlier here because last year we saw A Quiet Place nominated for score here at the Globes. Steve Jobs got nominated here 4 years ago, and Birdman was nominated here 5 years ago. That was before we knew it was ineligible for the Oscars, of course. So they do sometimes go for those non-traditional picks, the ones that don't always get the Oscar nomination for score. I think Marriage Story and Joker are really solid here. 1917, I think, will be the front runner across the board. I can see that also winning here. Little Women, is Alexander Desplat. They love him here, so that's not going to be a surprise. We do have a few other potential nominees being Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker, but none of those newer scores from John Williams, I think, have been nominated here at the Globes. Maybe with the exception of Force Awakens, now that I think about it. Maybe that one got in, but I can't recall right now. Jojo Rabbit could also be nominated. It's Michael Giacchino. They do like him a little bit. Ford v. Ferrari is the same composer as A Quiet Place, who got in last year, whose name, it's Marco Beltrami or something like that. He skips my mind right now. Then you have Richard Jewell. That nomination could be in there. Depends on how much they like the movie. It might get a couple of surprise nominations here. Maybe in some top categories. We'll get to that later. The Aeronauts, I have that score also as a possibility because it's from Stephen Price, who I believe has been nominated twice here in the past. He won, he didn't win for Gravity. He was nominated for Gravity 6 years ago. And I think he got nominated one other time. I can't remember what it would be for, but yeah. And then the last one is The Irishman, which does have a little bit of score in it from somebody. Robbie Richardson, I think, is the name of the composer or something like that. Yeah. So then move on to the foreign language category. Here I have Les Miserables, Pain and Glory, Parasite, Queen of Hearts, and The Farewell being the 5 nominees. The Farewell, as we kind of mentioned earlier in one of the other videos there, it's going to be ineligible for that motion picture comedy musical category since it does have a lot of Cantonese, I think it's Cantonese subtitles or whatever sorry, I haven't seen the film yet, so I don't know what language they speak there, but supposedly more of the film is in that language than it is in English, so that it therefore qualifies here. It was kind of the same rules last year as Roma, ineligible for the film drama category. You know, this is kind of the equivalent there of Best Picture for the foreign language film. So Parasite, Farewell, and Pain and Glory are therefore kind of more or less reduced, I guess you could say, to that category here. A few more other ones to look out for are The Whistlers, Monos, or Monos, I'm not sure, I've heard it pronounced both ways. Those Who Remained, and Out Stealing Horses are a couple more that I have an eye on there. I think, though, I looked at, I didn't put, I'm just reading off my article here from Cultured Vultures. I can't remember why I didn't put the country these are from, but I think they do like to nominate the films from Canada here at the Globes, I know, so I think one of these might be from Canada. Anyways, too late to look it up now. All right, next one up here is animated feature. I have Abominable, Frozen 2, How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World, Toy Story 4, and Weathering with You as the 5 nominees here. Missing Link, Klaus, and I still Lost My Body, rather, are the 3 I have as possible upsets here. Yeah, I don't know. This feels like a pretty traditional Globes animated pick to me. Moving on to the screenplay category, we've got Bombshell, Jojo Rabbit, Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and The Irishman are my 5 picks here. And again, you know, we have to remember The Post and a few other films like that. The HFPA does like movies about the press. You know, Spotlight, of course, did well here a few years ago. The Post, you know, a few of those. So I would definitely look at that one as a long shot. That can definitely happen here. Otherwise, Parasite does have a possibility here. Little Women could sneak in. The Two Popes, The Farewell, Uncut Gems could be a big surprise here, potentially. Especially if it does start to kind of play for more of that screenplay category here. The 5 I have picked here for supporting actress are Annette Bening for The Report, Laura Dern for Marriage Story, Scarlett Johansson in for Jojo Rabbit, Jennifer Lopez for Hustlers, and Margot Robbie for Bombshell. So I look at really the history here of the nominees, and that's Annette Bening does have 8 nominations in the past here, so that's kind of the reason why I'm going with her over somebody like Zhao Shuzhen rather for The Farewell, somebody like Florence Pugh for Little Women, both of which are very possible here, I will say. Maggie Smith is also very well liked here at the Globes, and of course her same role here in Downton Abbey, as we've mentioned, has won her a couple of Emmys in the past and gotten nominated another 2 times or something. I think we talked about that earlier. Davine Joy Randolph could be nominated here also for Dolomite Is My Name. And Meryl Streep I do have down as a possibility here for The Laundromat. She was originally running in the lead actress comedy musical category. Since then we have found out she was bumped down to supporting actress. So, yeah, and that is more of an ensemble movie, so that makes sense. Now, Johansson I have getting, as you can probably tell here, the double nom for this and for Marriage Story and Lead Actress Drama. We'll get to that in a little bit. She has 4 nominations so far, between Girl with the Pearl Earring, I think, I haven't seen that one, Lost in Translation in the same year, Match Point, and what's the 4th one? It was another smaller one that not a lot of other people nominated through this season, I remember. So yeah, and I think Jojo Rabbit's going to go over pretty well with them. I think they'll want to get at least 1 or 2 acting noms, at least 1. I think this would be the one here. So, yeah. For actor in a supporting role, I have Alan Alda for Marriage Story, Tom Hanks for Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, Brad Pitt for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and both Al Pacino and Joe Pesci in for The Irishman. And I did a little stat here, 53 nominations across film and television, including the producing nominations for Brad Pitt. That's how many times these 5 guys have been nominated by the Globes. And it's very possible with these nominated, it gets to 58 with that. Now, of course, Alan Alda, a lot of his nominations come from MASH and a few other ones in the 70s and 80s there. Pacino has quite a few nominations in the past, a lot of film work and some television work. Brad Pitt, we mentioned, some producing roles. Tom Hanks, of course, a lot of acting roles there. Mostly, I think his are all film, I believe. And then Pesci just has a couple nominations in the past here at the Globes for, as you can probably suspect, Raging Bull and Goodfellas. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of possibilities though here too for who might get bumped out here. Anthony Hopkins is definitely up there. He's been nominated. Gosh, is he up to 6 now? 6 times, I think, at the Globes. I didn't look this one up, but pretty sure that's it. Now, Parasite, as we've been kind of mentioning here recently, I was a little worried about Parasite early on for the nominations and stuff because I was like, it's not going to have a strong acting candidate. But I think since then, a lot of people have kind of turned up the heat for Song Kang-ho for Parasite. He is possible here. Shia LaBeouf might get in. He was nominated Indie Spirits for Honey Boy. That might happen. Sterling K. Brown for Waves is also possible. Willem Dafoe is also possible for The Lighthouse. I do believe he got in last year for the Vincent Van Gogh movie and lead actor drama. So they do like him, and he was, of course, nominated a couple years ago for The Florida Project. John Lithgow, I have as a slight chance here for Bombshell in case they really go for that one. And then Taika Waititi I also have as a possible nominee here for Jojo Rabbit, but that's only if he doesn't get into the directing category. So, yeah, that's it for that one there. Okay, for lead actress in a comedy musical, I have Awkwafina for The Farewell, who I think will probably run this category. Cate Blanchett for Where'd You Go, Bernadette. I do have Caitlin Dever in for Booksmart over Beanie Feldstein. Emma Thompson in for Late Night and Constance Wu for Hustlers. And... Ana de Armas has kind of been gaining a little ground here for Knives Out. I've seen it on a couple of sites. It's possible she gets in. She is kind of the heart and soul of the movie. But I don't know if Knives Out is going to go over as well with the Globes as it has with a lot of other sites here. It's with a few of the critics' awards and stuff. It's possible, but I don't know if they're necessarily going to go for it. We mentioned, Beanie Feldstein could knock out Caitlin Dever and just she gets in for Booksmart, or maybe somebody like Emma Thompson or Cate Blanchett fall out for in favor of her, and they both get in. That's very possible. And then also another one I mentioned here, and it's funny enough, it's Charlize Theron for Long Shot, who may not be a long shot. Yeah, I know. I made that joke on the site here, but yeah. Anyway, so it's possible she gets the double nom there, but I think, again, most of her attention, I think, is going to be focused on Bombshell for the drama category. So I don't think she'll quite get in, but just in case, I'll put that down. Okay, then for lead actor comedy musical, there is... one change here, of course, we kind of mentioned it in the last video there. Adam Sandler was reclassified in the drama category because that's where Uncut Gems ended up playing there. So, unfortunately, that category is just so stacked. I think he's running up a brick wall in that category. It's going to be tough to see him get in. But as we mentioned, if he does get in over somebody like De Niro or Antonio Banderas or a couple others there, then, yeah, he definitely has a much, much stronger shot at the Oscar and at, the other various award shows as we go on here. But that's a tough act to kind of beat there. And, of course, having not seen Uncut Gems, I don't know if he's up to it or not, but everybody has been talking about, and he won the Best Actor Award at National Board of Review. So it's there's a lot of acclaim to it. So that's nothing against him here. So with that, there's one open slot. I'll go ahead and I'll just name the other ones first. Daniel Craig for Knives Out, Leonardo DiCaprio for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Taron Egerton for Rocketman, and Eddie Murphy for Dolomite Is My Name. Again, I think Murphy will dominate this category. That fifth slot, I've mentioned him a couple of times, and I looked at the other list there, and I think that's going to be it, and I think it's Bryan Cranston for The Upside. I think that's a major long shot. I think it's going to come through, though. I look at the other competitors here. You do have Shia LaBeouf for The Peanut Butter Falcon, which I would love to see nominated. But unfortunately, even though you could argue it has more Oscar buzz than something like The Upside, Cranston has 8 nominations in the past. 1 film nomination, but 7 TV nominations. I believe that's 1 producing role as well on Breaking Bad. But that's a lot of... They love Bryan Cranston. So, yeah. And it's not just Breaking Bad. He was nominated once, I believe, also for Malcolm in the Middle, too. So... and that was for a supporting actor role, and that's, I think, a catch-all category on the TV side. So that shows, they do like Cranston a lot. So I think he gets in for The Upside there. Now, Shia LaBeouf, we mentioned that for Peanut Butter Falcon. That he's probably the first one I would have picked otherwise. But again, I think some of his attention is going to be on Honey Boy. It doesn't necessarily hurt that they're in 2 separate categories, but I don't know. I just don't know if the Globe voters have seen that one very well. Now, a lot of people have gone with Roman Griffith David, who's the young lead actor in Jojo Rabbit, but I am not falling for that, no. We've seen that many times with the Globes with Haley Steinfeld for True Grit. She missed out. There's another example that was right off the top of my head, but now I've forgotten it. I think Anna Paquin missed here a few years, 20 years ago or 25 years ago for The Piano. So it's like the Globes do not go for those child actors, not always. And younger actors, I guess, too. You could kind of classify it that way. Quvenzhané Wallis, I believe, missed out for Beasts of No Nation, or Beasts of the Southern Wild, rather. I believe so. I didn't double check that, but I don't remember her being nominated there. So it's just really tough. They do like to pass over those younger actors. A couple other names here that have been kind of circled around are Himesh Patel for Yesterday, but again, I don't think that one is very high on the radar for Globes voters. And also Will Smith for Aladdin, who's a big name. But again, I just don't see it being a big Oscar player here, or a big Globes player either. Okay, then for lead actress in a drama film here, I have I let go of Helen Mirren here. I recognize that she's very likely to be nominated in the limited series actress category for Catherine the Great, so that does free up a spot. They don't have to nominate her twice. They very well could. I think Mirren is definitely going to be in the hunt here. But I'm going Cynthia Erivo in Harriet over her, and then I do have, since I have Harriet in for the drama or the score category. I think it's, this is kind of a movie I think maybe the Globes might gravitate more toward than say Critics' Choice, than say the Oscars, than maybe BAFTA, a few others there, SAG definitely. So I have her in. Then I have Scarlett Johansson for Marriage Story, Saoirse Ronan for Little Women, Charlize Theron for Bombshell, and Renee Zellweger for Judy. And that probably will be the lineup there. Of course, there's a couple potential for spoilers there. Of course, Helen Mirren. Lupita Nyong'o, we mentioned in the last video there. Her recent win with the New York Film Critics Circle definitely helps her case. And Lupita, it would help if she was nominated more than just 12 Years a Slave, but of course, she hasn't had a big Oscar kind of role since she's done the Star Wars movies and a couple other ones. But yeah, this will obviously be her shot for the second nomination there. Alfre Woodard has also got a decent shot for Clemency. Again, I'm a little worried about how well that film has been seen across the board there. I think definitely the critics have seen it, but I'm not so sure if the industry has seen it. And it is from, I believe, Neon, who, again, Neon is all about Parasite this year. But, since they don't really have a contender here in this category, maybe they did push hard for Woodard, and maybe she does come up on the list here. And I also, one name that we kind of, again, have mentioned a couple times here, and it's a very popular pick for the Globes, and that's Julianne Moore for the movie Gloria Bell. This would be her 10th nomination. So they do really like her. That's not including the ensemble prize she got for Shortcuts in 93. So it's very possible there for that one as well. Okay, then lead actor drama, I have Christian Bale being nominated for Ford v Ferrari, Antonio Banderas for Pain and Glory, Adam Driver for Marriage Story, Robert De Niro for The Irishman, and Joaquin Phoenix for Joker. So I do not have Sandler getting in. It is possible that in this category and also in the film drama category, I almost want to officially predict it, but I don't have the stones to do it. And that's that there's going to be a tie and a sixth nominee. I mean, we haven't seen it at the Globes for a while. I think there might have been a TV category a couple of years ago that did it. I think the last time it happened for the film side was in 2012 in the supporting actor category when they had both Leo and Christoph Waltz nominated for Django Unchained. But I don't know if... again, I don't have the stones to predict it here. And like I said, Sandler, I think, is definitely in that sixth slot there, or you could argue seventh. Also, Jonathan Pryce for Two Popes is also pretty high up there, I think, for a lot of people. I think that's the thing, too, is if Two Popes is really going to get that nomination here... I think I've made this argument a few times in the past, and it doesn't always happen, and that's when you have those kind of two-handers... where it's like you nominate this one, but you have to nominate this one with it, kind of feels. I always thought that, like, with Meryl Streep and Hugh Grant were for the singing movie, whatever the frick it was called. What was that one? They did a couple of years ago. She got nominated for it, but Hugh Grant didn't. Florence Foster Jenkins, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, that one. Hugh Grant was pretty much nominated across the board for supporting actor, but then he didn't get in for. Or I think he was lead actor here at the Globes actually that year. But yeah, they both got. I thought that was a two-hander. I thought they would go hand in hand, but they didn't. I get a similar feel with Anthony Hopkins and with Jonathan Pryce here, where it's like either they both get in or none of them get in. But I could be wrong, of course. Anyway, so yeah, but like I was mentioning with Sandro, though, he has been nominated once in the past on the comedy side. I think he was close to a nomination a couple of years ago for the Meyerowitz stories, but didn't quite get in. So, I think the Globes have him on the radar. It also depends, too, on whether or not Uncut Gems gets anything else, like if it gets like a screenplay nomination or really surprises us with like a maybe not director, but like a film drama nomination or something weird like that. Then I think that definitely boosts his chances. But for now, I just don't know. Again, I don't know if that's necessarily a Globes movie, so to speak. Let's see. Anybody else here? Yeah, I got a couple names. Paul Walter Hauser could also get in for Richard Jewell. Again, depends on how well they like that movie. And also George McKay, who's one of the younger actors in 1917. I think those who have seen the movie early said he's really one to watch for. So I'll mention him as possible there. Depends on, again, how well they like that movie. Moving on to the director category, again, a very competitive category this year across pretty much every award show. My predictions are Noah Baumbach for Marriage Story, Bong Joon-ho for Parasite, Sam Mendes for 1917, Martin Scorsese for The Irishman, and Taika Waititi for Jojo Rabbit. And I could be easily just looking over a no-brainer here for Tarantino. The Globes do like him a lot. He's been nominated 3 times for director, and I believe nominated 4 times as a screenplay writer. I believe 4 times. It might be more. I remember he was nominated, I believe, for Pulp Fiction. He might have gotten on for Jackie Brown, too, actually, for screenplay. So that's why I think he's a much better bet for screenplay than he is for director here, for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Let's see, he was nominated for Hateful Eight and for Django, both. I believe he won for Django that year, so... so 4, there might have been more. So yeah, he's and Inglourious Basterds, I'm sure he was nominated for too. So yeah, he might have. Yeah, he's very possible, I think, to be nominated for screenplay this year for his 5th or 6th time, depending on how many he's been nominated. I've forgotten right now. But yeah, director he's only been nominated 3 times: Django, Inglourious Basterds, and Pulp Fiction. So he might be due for his 4th, but I don't know. And it could, like I said, it could easily be a no-brainer that I'm just passing up here, but. I just think Marriage Story is going to be more popular. I think they will like Parasite, 1917, Irishman, Jojo. Yeah. Anyways, look out also for, I would say, for Greta Gerwig for Little Women. I put her down a little bit lower on the list just because she wasn't nominated for Lady Bird, and right now Little Women doesn't have the energy that Lady Bird did a few years ago. That was, I remember, a big miss that year when she wasn't nominated at the Globes, but then pretty much got nominated everywhere else. Pedro Almodovar could also be up for Pain and Glory. James Mangold could get in for Ford v. Ferrari. And I would also, again, one to watch out for here is Clint Eastwood for Richard Jewell. It is kind of a late contender. It reminds me a bit of another film that was, well, it was actually supposed to premiere at AFI like Richard Jewell did. And that was a couple years ago, the All the Money in the World, which got surprise nominations more or less in supporting actor, lead actress drama, and director for Ridley Scott. Part of that could have been the politics of the film, too, deciding to replace Kevin Spacey at the last second. And also, I believe a part of that was that they had a special screening exclusively for Globes members. So that was also part of it. Obviously, Richard Jewell didn't get that benefit and had, the AFI premiere and everything. But it is Eastwood. They do like to nominate him here. So, yeah, he could get in for Richard Jewell and be a big surprise there. Okay, for the 5 I have for motion picture, comedy, musical, I have Dolomite Is My Name, Hustlers, Jojo Rabbit, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Rocket Man as the 5. Knives Out is definitely going to be in the hunt here. I would definitely watch out for that one. Cats is also, potential there. Now, I looked at, I originally said this as like the big musical they like to nominate. Rocket Man, I think, is more like the musical they tend to nominate here. Plus, Cats, we have not heard anything about it. Universal seems to be all about 1917 this year. There's just not a lot building behind that movie right now. Booksmart is also one I would keep an eye on here. I would say that. So, I think that's a good lineup there. For motion picture drama, I have 1917. I do have Bombshell getting in, again, because of the press thing. Little Women, Marriage Story, and The Irishman is the 5. And I think you could argue too, a little thing that's going to help Little Women and Bombshell is that we have had, it's kind of a little rumble, but it's not big yet. It could grow over time here. And that is that you look at a lot of the lead contenders this year, very male dominated. Ford v. Ferrari, all about men. The Irishman, all about men, especially older white men. 1917, all about men who fought in the war. Look at Richard Jewell, all about a man. Over on, of course, the comedy side there, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, 2 male leads. Rocket Man, all about a man, of course, even if it's somebody registered in the LGBTQ category there. Dolomite Is My Name is about a man, even if it's a black male. So that's why I think Hustlers will really score there in that comedy musical category with probably, it could get up to maybe 3 or 4 nominations and really surprise us here. If it does get Constance Wu, actor or supporting actress and the film, and then maybe, I don't know, maybe something else weird like screenplay, or maybe it breaks through for director. I don't know. I don't think that's as high a possibility as other categories, but yeah, another kind of, Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood also has quite a few male kind of lead actors in it and stuff. So I think that films like Little Women and Bombshell will definitely benefit from that as well through the season here. The Farewell is also female-led, so that I think will help as well. And that I think will benefit it in some of the other, like, that's why part of the reason why I have it in also for like the SAG Ensemble Award getting nominated there is it's mostly Asian or Asian American cast, and it's also a good deal of female upper billing, so to speak. You could argue Marriage Story is also kind of female-led. If I've seen kind of mixed things because like Johansson is like first billed on the poster, but then in the credits Adam Driver is first billed, so it's like that's kind of confusing. So you could count Marriage Story in there as kind of that. That's kind of a tougher call. Jojo Rabbit is, I guess, the lead actor is male, but it's also, again, pretty diverse cast there for male and female. It's pretty tit for tat there, so to speak. Joker obviously male-led as well, but that one feels a little less like it's invasive in that way. So that's I'm not really saying one thing or another about it. I'm just saying that's kind of one thing that's building up. So I think it could be a good optics view for the Globes if they do go for more of the female-led films. I'm not saying anything about the quality because I haven't seen Bombshell or Little Women yet. But Ford v. Ferrari is definitely up there on my list for best of the year. Irishman is pretty good. I do like it. I liked it a lot the first time. I think I did get more out of it the second time as well. So that's not to say anything about the male films being bad or not good enough or anything, and that the female films should be nominated because they're female led. Of course not. That's a silly argument, but only for that exclusive. If they're good films, they should just be nominated. That's always been my argument, but I'm just as a way of, if it does come down to, as we saw in some recent years here, some of these nominees, are almost exclusively driven by politics sometimes, or it feels that way sometimes to me. But of course, almost always it's somebody that, that gets nominated where you're like, yeah, but they're really good at what they do. Like I never threw up way too much of a fuss, say like 2 years ago when Greta Gerwig was nominated for director. I personally wouldn't have nominated her just because I didn't think she did the best directing job of the year, but she did a good enough job on the film. I've always compared that to The Edge of 17, another kind of coming of age story, female-led, written and directed by a female, younger, very popular actress in the lead role and stuff, and all about that going into senior year, or this in the Lady Bird's case, going into college. They were both very similar in that way, and I always thought that Edge of 17 was superior in every way, except I would argue Greta Gerwig did a better job directorially than Kelly Freeman, I believe. Kelly Craig Freeman, I believe, is the director's name for Edge of 17. Other than the directing job there, which I think was good, but not as great as, say, Greta Gerwig was in Lady Bird. I always, kind of went back and forth between those two, kind of the argument there. But I mean, I don't ever argue that a nomination is unworthy. I've never really argued that. But anyways, now that, some of you are probably like, it doesn't matter. But anyways, I think that's maybe part of the reason why something like Little Women will have a leg up on Ford v. Ferrari, and Bombshell could have a leg up on a couple other films like Joker and Two Popes and maybe Richard Jewell and a few others. And I do, again, say Bombshell does have the press, all about being the press and all that stuff behind it as well. So yeah, I think overall those films will do well here. So yeah, Ford v Ferrari, again, I could almost 100% predict, almost, in one part of my mind I'm saying it's going to happen, but in another part of my mind it's like, just stick with 5, is that Ford v Ferrari will tie and get a 6th nomination for motion picture drama. It's possible, and I would definitely say that the chances for it are better than good, but again, I don't have the stones to fully predict it. Joker is another one, could get in here that I might be underestimating, but I think, again, it's the critical divide is in there a little bit. It's a very popular film. Sometimes the Globes do go from a popular fare. It's a $1 billion movie, so that can't be tossed out there. Two Popes, again, I think if it does really well, gets both the acting nominations and sneaks in for screenplay or something, then it could be a much bigger player here. But again, Netflix has The Irishman and Marriage Story and Dolomite also leading for some other nominations here. So I think Two Popes will be one that they, kind of are a little less on. Yeah, we did mention Richard Jewell. Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, I think, is more, it's definitely more, softer and definitely more, I haven't seen it yet, but, definitely has that, kind of more sweet and innocent feel and everything. That could be, normally I would say that has a much better chance here, but it's just such a tough field this year for this category. I think that falls short as well. Yeah. So I think that's my piece on that. Once again, I will be here, fresh and early here on Monday morning with the live reactions, and we'll see just how crazy the Globes get this year. There's always a couple oddball picks that turn into big players, like Viggo Mortensen. I remember a few years ago for Captain Fantastic, and Peter Farrelly getting in for director last year was a little bit surprising, I thought. So we could have another surprise. I'm not, I threw out Jay Roach for director. That's one I didn't mention there. But again, if Bombshell really does go over that well, he has been around a while, been nominated a few times, I believe at DGA for like his TV work, for like Game Change and for All the Way. You never know. You just never know. So so that's going to be my piece there. Again, I'll be back Monday with that. And again, just a couple of things here. Tomorrow, I might be able to shoot a video for reactions after the LA Film Critics Awards have been handed out. And also for Critics' Choice, again, we'll see their stupid-ass way of, doing live announcements but not telling anybody about it until it's over. Yeah, that's BS. So we'll see about that as well. But until then, we will see you guys for sure on Monday. If not, we'll catch you tomorrow and quickly talk about some LA and Critics' Choice stuff.